My wife cheated and demanded our home. She forgot one crucial detail. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. You'll be out by Friday, Sabrina says, smiling like she's announcing a vacation. She is sitting at our kitchen island in the house I rebuilt room by room, tapping a manila folder against the granite like a metronome. Across from her, I'm still wearing my work boots, mud from a crawl space on the soles, and I'm trying to understand how the woman I married can sound so casual about ripping my life apart. I'm Noah, 32, a home inspector who spends his days spotting problems other people miss. 4 or 5 years, that's been my comfort. There's always a reason a foundation cracks, always a paper trail for why a leak starts. Marriage was supposed to be different. Marriage was supposed to be the one place I didn't have to look for hidden damage. This house mattered before Sabrina ever stepped into it. My dad died when I was 26, and all he left that felt solid was this place on a quiet street outside Raleigh. Old brick, sagging porch, stubborn as he was. Aunt Claire helped me keep it. We ripped out carpets, rewired outlets, patched the roof after storms. When Sabrina moved in, she called it our fresh start. I believed her enough to paint the nursery color samples even though we never had kids. Now she slides the folder toward me. My attorney says you can't just keep it, she says. It's marital. I'm staying. You can go crash with Claire. In the folder is a draft petition and a printout of a text thread, screenshots I didn't send, like she's already building a story where I'm the villain. My throat tightens. I can feel shame rising first, then anger behind it, like heat under a closed door. I look at her manicured nails, the ring on her finger, and I realize she's not bluffing. But she's also forgetting something that's been in black ink since day one. Sabrina tilts her head, watching me the way she watches strangers on Instagram. Curious, detached, already editing. The dishwasher hums. Outside, the porch light I installed last winter flickers once, like it's trying to warn me. She forgets one line of paperwork I never stopped keeping safe. If you asked our friends, we were the couple who made it work. Sabrina and I met at a charity 5K where I volunteered to check runners in. She wore bright lipstick at 7 in the morning and laughed at my terrible jokes like I was the funniest man alive. I wasn't. I was just steady, and she said steady felt safe. We married fast, 18 months, because Sabrina loved milestones. Engagement photos, bridal shower, coordinated hashtags. I loved her, and I loved how she pulled me out of my quiet routines. The first year was good in the plain way that matters. Coffee on Sundays, cheap takeout, her feet on my lap while we watched bad TV. The house came with baggage and blessings. Dad's will was simple, but Aunt Claire was the one who made me take it seriously. Your father wasn't rich, she said, but he was careful. She marched me to a lawyer's office and made me listen as an older man explained trusts and titles like he was reading weather. Sabrina rolled her eyes at the paperwork. It's just a house, she whispered to me in the parking lot. Stop letting Claire scare you. But when we moved in, Sabrina loved telling people she rescued the place. She posted before and after photos of the peeling cabinets, like she hadn't met the kitchen until I'd already gutted it. I didn't correct her. I figured that was marriage too, letting each other shine. Then, 3 months ago, she started doing this thing where she would go quiet mid-conversation, like her mind slipped onto a different channel. One night, I said, "You okay?" And she blinked like I'd woken her up. "Yeah," she said, too quick. "Just tired. Work stuff." Work stuff used to come home in stories and rants and inside jokes about her coworkers. Now it came home in silence and a locked phone. The first time I noticed her new passcode, she smiled and said, "Privacy isn't betrayal, Noah." I told myself she was right, even while my stomach disagreed. The next morning, I found a receipt in her car from a hotel bar. The receipt said the Atrium Lounge, $42. 18, tip included, time stamped 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Sabrina had told me she was staying late for a quarterly push, and I believed her because that's what spouses do when they don't want to become suspicious people. I tried to be reasonable. Raleigh had a dozen places with Atrium in the name. Maybe it was a client dinner. Maybe she gave someone a ride, and they paid her back. I folded it, dropped it in my desk drawer, and told myself I'd ask later when my voice wouldn't sound accusing. Later came in pieces. She started going to the gym after work, but her gym bag stayed too clean, the shoes too new. She bought perfume she never wore around me, and started sleeping with her back turned like my breathing annoyed her. On weekends, she picked fights over nothing, my laundry basket in the hallway, the way I chewed ice, then left the house to cool off for hours. One Friday, I got home and the Ring app showed our front door opening at 2:14 p.m. Sabrina wasn't supposed to be home. I checked the camera history and saw only a blur and the edge of a man's shoulder. When I asked her about it that night, she laughed too loudly. "That's your paranoia talking," she said, kissing my cheek like it was a bribe. "Maybe you should get help for that." The words hit harder than I expected. Paranoia. Help. Like she was planting something. Then came the passcode change on our shared iPad. We'd always used it for recipes and streaming in the kitchen. One evening, I tapped the screen and it asked for a new login. Sabrina glanced up from her phone and said, "Oh, I reset it. Security reasons." I watched her thumbs move fast over her screen, and for a split second, I saw the name on a calendar notification pop up, D. Room 612. My hands went cold, but I still told myself I misread it. 2 nights later, my truck's Bluetooth connected to her car by mistake, and her dashboard screen flashed a contact name I'd never seen before. It wasn't a coworker's name, and it wasn't a woman's. Saturday morning, Sabrina left early with a breezy brunch with the girls and a kiss that felt like theater. The house went quiet, and I did what I do for clients. I checked the obvious systems first. Her car was in the driveway because she'd taken mine. "Gas tank's low," she'd said. I sat in the driver's seat and turned the ignition just enough to wake the screen. The infotainment system remembered everything. Recent calls, recent destinations, paired devices. There it was, a phone listed as Derek iPhone, paired 3 weeks ago. Under recent destinations, I saw a save pin called Atrium Hotel. My throat tightened so hard it felt like swallowing gravel. I didn't want to be the guy who snoops. I also didn't want to be the guy who gets blindsided and then blamed for not noticing. So I took pictures with my own phone, time and date visible, and backed out. That's when the Ring app pinged, motion at the front door. I opened the feed and watched our porch from my own kitchen. A man walked up like he'd done it before, tall, dark jacket, confident stride. He didn't look around. He didn't hesitate. He used the code. The door opened, and he stepped inside my house. I stood there, not moving, while my brain tried to build a version of reality where this made sense. Then the iPad on the counter chimed with a photo sync notification. I tapped it without thinking, and a thumbnail loaded. Sabrina in a mirror selfie, my bathroom in the background, her hair slightly messed, a man's hand on her waist. The date stamp was today. The location tag was my address. My stomach flipped. I wanted to scream, throw something, call her 100 times. Instead, I did what my job trained me to do when something is wrong. Document first, react later. I saved screenshots. I emailed them to myself. I wrote down times in my notes app like a madman making a checklist. Then I sat on the stairs and stared at the wall until the buzzing in my ears faded into a dull roar. When Sabrina came home that afternoon, she acted normal. Too normal, like she hadn't just turned our home into a hotel room. She didn't know I'd already seen Derek's face in our doorway. That night, I waited until after dinner, when the plates were in the sink and Sabrina had her phone angled away from me like it was a secret diary. I kept my voice calm on purpose. "Who's Derek?" I asked. She didn't even blink. "What? Derek? His phone is paired to your car. He was here today." I watched her face for cracks, for guilt, for anything human. "Sabrina, I saw him come in." Her eyes narrowed, then softened into something that looked like pity. "Noah, you've been spiraling," she said gently, as if talking to a child. "You're watching cameras now? Tracking me? That's scary." I felt the floor tilt. "I'm not tracking you. It's our security system. It sent an alert." "You're obsessed," she said louder. "You've been controlling lately. You want to know where I am every second." "I want to know why a stranger is walking into my house," I said, and my voice finally cracked around the word "my." She stood up and took her wine glass to the sink with deliberate slowness. "Fine," she said. "You want honesty? I'm done. I can't breathe in this marriage. I've been talking to someone who makes me feel seen." Talking, like I hadn't watched his hand on her waist. "I'm filing," she continued, and her tone changed, hard, rehearsed. "And don't start with the house. My attorney already explained it. It's marital property. I'm entitled to it." I stared at her. "You didn't pay the mortgage." "We were married," she snapped. That's how this works. And Derek, I said, forcing it out. She smirked. Derek understands assets. Derek understands fairness. She picked up her phone and tapped a message without looking at the screen, like muscle memory. He says you'll fold once you realize what you can lose. There it was, the first clear sign this wasn't just an affair. It was a plan. I took a breath. So you're threatening me? I'm being practical, she replied. Pack a bag. Don't make this ugly. Then my phone buzzed with a new text from an unknown number. A photo of my front porch, taken from the street. Under it, one line. Leave quietly, or we'll make you. By Monday, Sabrina was acting like a landlord collecting rent. She changed the Wi-Fi password. She moved her toiletries into the guest bathroom and told me, we'll keep it civil, like she was doing me a favor. I checked our joint account out of habit and felt my stomach drop. 2 transfers, $3,000 on Saturday, $2,500 on Sunday, memo line blank. Our savings had always been boring. Now it looked like someone had taken a bite out of it. When I asked, she smiled without warmth. Attorney retainer, she said. Don't worry, it's community money. Community money. Like I hadn't been the one doing the overtime inspections, crawling through moldy attics so we could pay extra toward the principal. That afternoon, a courier dropped off papers. Temporary orders. A request for exclusive use of the residence. The language was clinical, but the implication was sharp. She wanted the judge to tell me to leave. I called Aunt Claire with shaking hands. She picked up on the second ring. I didn't even say hello. I just said, she's trying to take the house. Claire was quiet for a beat. Then her voice went flat in the way it gets when she's done being polite. Do not leave that house, she said. Not a night. Not an hour. If you leave, she'll say you abandoned it. She already has an attorney, I said. And she's making me sound dangerous. Because she needs a reason, Claire replied. Listen to me, Noah. Your father protected that place. She's counting on you for getting how. I wanted to ask what she meant, but Sabrina walked into the room and paused when she saw my face. She lifted her phone. If you're calling Claire to stir up drama, she said, remember the judge doesn't like family interference. It wasn't just a threat. It was her testing how scared I was. That night, I slept on the couch with my keys in my pocket, staring at the ceiling fan. Every creak sounded like paperwork turning against me, and every time my phone lit up, my pulse jumped. And then the doorbell camera caught Derek pulling into our driveway again. Derek didn't come to the porch this time. He stayed in his car, engine idling, and Sabrina went out to him like it was normal. Through the front window, I watched her lean in, laughing, touching his arm. Then she came back inside with a new energy, charged, confident. You should go stay with Claire, she said. This is stressful for you. What's stressful? I said. Is you talking to the guy you're sleeping with in my driveway? She rolled her eyes. There you go again. Accusations. If you keep acting like this, you're going to make it easy for me. Easy for her. That phrase stuck. I started noticing details the way I notice a roofline sag. Sabrina's story about work trips didn't match the dates on her receipts. She claimed she was at a conference in Charlotte, but her location services, still linked to the family iPad until she changed it, had a gap that lined up perfectly with the Atrium Hotel. She said she paid the attorney with her bonus, but our bank showed transfers to an account I didn't recognize. So I stopped trying to win an argument and started trying to win the truth. I printed every ring clip with timestamps. I pulled my phone records and highlighted the nights she called Derek instead of me. I took screenshots of the paired devices screen in her car. I wrote a simple timeline on a legal pad like I was building a case for a cracked foundation: date, time, evidence. Aunt Claire came over when Sabrina was out. She moved through the house like she was inspecting damage after a storm, touching door frames, scanning walls. In my dad's old office, she opened a drawer I never used and pulled out a thin folder with my name on it. I told your father you'd need this someday, she said. What is it? I asked. Claire's eyes were sharp. It's proof, she replied. But proof only matters if you use it right. The folder was sealed with a notary stamp that made my mouth go dry. Before I could open it, my phone buzzed with a calendar alert Sabrina forgot to disable. The alert read, signing appointment, 3:30 p.m. Derek. It wasn't on my calendar. It wasn't even subtle. It was the kind of reminder you set when you think no one else can see your screen. Claire and I looked at each other. County records, she said immediately. Now? We drove to the Wake County Register of Deeds office like we were late to a funeral. The clerk at the counter was polite in that practiced way, sliding forms under plexiglass. I asked for a copy of my property file. Just everything on 214 Maple Ridge, I said, and my voice shook. While the printer spit out pages, I felt sick. I'd inspected hundreds of homes, but I'd never inspected my own ownership like this. The deed was first, my name only, dated 2 years before Sabrina and I married. I knew that. I remembered signing it with my dad's lawyer, the ink smelling like grief. Then Claire flipped to a newer document, and her finger stopped. Here, she said. It was a home equity line of credit application, HELOC, filed 6 days ago. It listed me as the borrower. It listed our house as collateral. And at the bottom was a signature that looked like mine, if you wrote my name while riding a bus. My chest went hollow. I didn't sign this. The clerk leaned in. This one was submitted electronically, she said. But the notary acknowledgement is attached. Claire's eyes narrowed. Who notarized it? The stamp showed a name, a commission number, and, worst of all, an address. Atrium Hotel, conference room. Sabrina hadn't just cheated. She tried to pull equity out of my father's house behind my back, using my name like it was a tool. I drove home gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white, replaying every time she'd asked for just a picture of your driver's license for insurance. Every time she'd said, sign this, without letting me read. When I walked in, Sabrina was at the kitchen island again, humming. Good day, she asked, too sweet. I set the HELOC printout down in front of her, and her smile twitched once. Then she reached for her phone like she was calling in backup. She didn't deny it. That's what scared me most. Sabrina glanced at the paper, then at me, and her expression shifted into irritation, like I'd caught her returning a used dress. You're overreacting, she said. It's just a line of credit. People do it all the time. Not with forged signatures, I said. She leaned forward. Careful, she murmured. You're getting loud. I realized then that she wanted me loud. She wanted me angry. She wanted me to look like exactly what she'd been describing to everyone else. I stepped back and kept my voice flat. Cancel it. Today. I'll handle it, she said, eyes flicking to her phone. But you're not staying here while you spiral. An hour later, my supervisor called. Noah, everything okay? He asked carefully. A woman just left a voicemail saying you're harassing her at home. She sounded upset. My stomach dropped. Sabrina wasn't just trying to take the house. She was trying to take my credibility. If my job thought I was unstable, my income would crater, and then she could claim I couldn't afford the home anyway. That evening, I checked my email and found a draft message in my sent folder, unsent, but written in my voice. It claimed I was agreeing to move out voluntarily and letting Sabrina remain for her safety. I hadn't written it. Someone had accessed my laptop while I was in a crawlspace that afternoon. Claire's words echoed. She needs a reason. A neighbor texted me. Everything okay? Sabrina's been crying on the sidewalk again. I could already picture her telling them I was scaring her. I changed every password I had, even the ones I thought didn't matter. I turned on two-factor authentication. I started saving everything to a separate cloud drive Sabrina didn't know existed. And I bought a small audio recorder from a hardware store, the kind contractors used to dictate notes. Because if Sabrina was building a case, I needed to know what kind. At 9:12 p.m., 2 police officers knocked on my front door for a wellness check. The officers were polite. They asked if I was safe, if I was thinking about hurting myself or anyone else. Their eyes kept drifting past me, like they expected holes in the drywall. I'm fine, I said. My wife and I are separating. She's upset. One of them nodded like he'd heard that sentence 100 times. Just keep things calm, he said. If you feel it escalating, step away. Step away. Leave the house. Exactly what Sabrina wanted. The next morning, Aunt Claire drove me straight to Attorney Patel's office downtown. Patel was calm in a way that made me breathe again, like a doctor who's seen worse injuries and doesn't panic. I handed him my timeline, the ring clips, the HELOC printout, the screenshots. He scanned everything, then looked at the thin folder Claire had given me. This is what matters most, Claire said. Patel opened it and nodded slowly. Inside was a copy of my father's trust and a separate document I'd forgotten existed. A quitclaim deed Sabrina signed at the closing when we refinanced for renovations. Her signature, notarized, clear as day. It stated she had no ownership interest and acknowledged the home was inherited property held for my benefit. I stared at it like it was written in another language. She signed this. Patel tapped the page. She did. And it's recorded. That means the court can't pretend she's on title. But we're married, I said. Doesn't that make it ours? Patel shook his head. Marriage doesn't automatically rewrite a deed, he explained. In plain terms, if the house was yours before the marriage, and you kept it separate, it stays yours. Her signature here makes it even clearer. My chest loosened for the first time in days. Then Patel flipped to another page and raised an eyebrow. Also, he said, this clause is going to change the conversation. He turned the document toward me. A post-nup addendum Sabrina had signed 2 years ago after a blow-up about boundaries, stating that infidelity voided any claim she might later assert on the residence. Sabrina had demanded my home, confident, cruel, because she forgot she'd signed herself out of it. Patel leaned back and said, now let's talk about that forged loan. Sabrina could smell a shift in me the way a dog smells thunder. That afternoon, she stopped pretending we were civil. She posted a vague Instagram story, a black screen with white text, when you realize love can turn into control. Then she texted my mom, who lives 2 states away, saying she was worried about Noah's temper. By evening, Claire called me. Your mother's in tears, she said. Sabrina's already campaigning. Sabrina tried to bait me in person too. She walked through the living room filming on her phone, narrating softly, Noah, please don't yell. Even though I hadn't said a word. When I stayed quiet, she got frustrated and pushed harder. Tell them, she hissed off camera. Tell them you're the only one who ever worked. Tell them I'm useless. That's what you think, right? I held my hands out where the phone could see them. Stop recording, I said evenly. She smiled into the lens. See? He's threatening me. The next day, she arranged a family dinner at a neighborhood restaurant for her sister and a few friends, people who'd been in our wedding photos. I went because Patel warned me. Disappearing lets her write your story. Sabrina arrived late, eyes red like she'd practiced in a mirror. She sat beside me, but angled her body away. When the server asked if we wanted wine, Sabrina whispered, maybe not. Alcohol makes Noah unpredictable. Everyone froze. I felt heat crawl up my neck. I leaned toward her and said quietly, you're lying. She looked at me with those perfect sad eyes and said, loud enough for the table, I'm just trying to stay safe. For a second, I wanted to explode, to shout, to dump the truth across the table and watch her flinch. But Patel's voice echoed in my head, timing Noah. Receipts, not rage. So I did the hardest thing. I smiled. I excused myself. I walked outside and stood in the cold air until my hands stopped shaking and my breath didn't burn. When I came back, Sabrina was showing a bruised photo, claiming it was mine. Patel didn't flinch when I showed him the bruised photo Sabrina circulated. She's building a narrative for temporary orders, he said. We counter with facts, and we do it where it counts. He filed an emergency objection to the Helic and requested a mediation date, as fast as the calendar allowed. Sabrina agreed instantly, which told me everything. She thought she was walking in to collect keys. In the week before mediation, I treated my life like an audit. I pulled our joint statements and highlighted the transfers. I requested a fraud alert on my credit. I printed the deed history from the county and stapled it in order. I downloaded every ring clip showing Derek entering, with timestamps. I included screenshots of the car's paired devices page and the Atrium Hotel destinations list. I even got a handwriting sample, my own signature from old inspection reports, to compare against the Helic signature line. Claire helped me organize it all into a binder with tabs. Make it idiot-proof, she said. Not because Patel is an idiot, because liars survive on confusion. The night before, Sabrina texted me, be mature tomorrow. I don't want a scene. Then, a minute later, also, pack your things. I'm keeping the house. I didn't respond. My hands were steady for once. I forwarded the text to Patel. Mediation happened in a beige conference room that smelled like burnt coffee. Sabrina arrived in a soft sweater and glasses she never wore, looking like a stressed librarian. Her attorney shook my hand like we were colleagues. Derek wasn't there, but Sabrina's phone kept lighting up on the table, face down. Patel opened with calm basics, property, finances, temporary living arrangements. Sabrina smiled sweetly and said, I'll stay in the home. Noah can find somewhere else. It's fair. Patel looked at me once. I nodded. He slid my binder across the table, opened it to a notarized page, and watched Sabrina's smile freeze. Then her attorney whispered, "Wait, why is she not on the deed?" Sabrina recovered fast. She laughed, like it was all a misunderstanding. "That's old paperwork," she said. "We refinanced. Things changed." Patel didn't argue. He just turned the page. The quitclaim deed was stamped and recorded. Sabrina's signature sat above a notary block dated the week we refinanced, the same week she'd insisted. "It's just routine, babe." Patel explained it in plain English. "This says you acknowledged the house was Noah's separate property. You waived any ownership interest." Sabrina's attorney's eyebrows climbed higher with every sentence. "Sabrina," he said carefully, "did you tell me you were on title?" Her cheeks flushed. "It's still marital. I live there. I improved it." Patel flipped to the post-nup addendum. "And this," he said, "states that if either spouse commits infidelity, they waive any claim to the residence, including any reimbursement request." Sabrina's jaw tightened. "That's not enforceable." "It's enforceable enough to change leverage," Patel replied, "especially with corroboration." He slid out the ring stills of Derek at our front door, then the car pairing screen, then the iPad photo with the location tag. Sabrina's hand twitched toward her phone. Her attorney held up a palm. "Sabrina, stop." He looked at Patel. "You have proof of the affair. Fine. But what about the loan?" Patel opened to the HELIC application and pointed at the notary stamp. "This was notarized at the Atrium Hotel. Same place your client's work trip receipts came from." He set down my signature samples. "And the borrower's signature is not Noah's." The mediator, a gray-haired woman, leaned forward. "Are you alleging fraud?" Patel's voice stayed calm. "I'm alleging attempted fraud, and I'm asking for it to be withdrawn immediately." Sabrina's mask finally slipped. "You think you're so smart," she snapped, voice sharp now. "Derek said you'd hide behind your dead dad's papers." The room went silent. Her phone buzzed again, and this time it lit up face up. "Derek, don't let them scare you." The mediator saw Derek's name, and everyone else did too. Mediation ended without a handshake. Sabrina stormed out first, but her attorney stayed behind, looking suddenly tired. "Withdraw the HELIC," Patel said, and the mediator wrote it into the notes. Sabrina's attorney didn't argue. He asked for copies of my exhibits like a man realizing he'd been handed half a story. Within 24 hours, Patel filed a fraud report with the lender and sent notice to the county that the lien was disputed. I put a freeze on my credit. Claire helped me install new locks and a keypad on the side door. Legal, because my name was the only one on the deed. Still, every time the lock clicked, I felt like I was betraying the version of us that once laughed in this hallway. Sabrina didn't stop. She sent my friends screenshots of our arguments out of context. She told people I kicked her out, even though she chose to leave for Derek's apartment when her lawyer explained the deed issue. She tried to get a temporary order anyway, but when she showed the judge her bruised photo, Patel calmly asked for the metadata. The timestamp didn't match the night she claimed. The judge's face hardened. Outside the courthouse, Sabrina hissed, "You're ruining my life." "You forged my signature," I said. My voice sounded older than I felt. "You were going to take my father's house and call it fairness." Derek showed up once, leaning against his truck like he owned the sidewalk. "This didn't have to be messy," he said. I held up my phone. "Smile," I replied. "My attorney loves witnesses." His smirk vanished. Work got weird for a while. My supervisor pulled me aside and said, "People talk." I handed him Patel's letter and the court filing numbers. He read them, nodded slowly, and said, "Okay, just keep your head down." At night, alone in the house, I walked through rooms that still smelled like Sabrina's shampoo and tried not to feel like I'd been the one thrown away. Then a certified letter arrived, addressed to me, with Derek's name on the return label. I opened the certified letter at my dad's old desk, hands steady in a way they hadn't been in weeks. It was a demand letter. Derek's attorney accusing me of interference and harassment, threatening to sue if I didn't stop contacting Sabrina. It was the last card in a flimsy deck, scare tactics to make me shut up about the HELIC and the notary stamp. Patel read it and sighed. "They're trying to bully you into silence," he said. "We respond once, with facts, and we stop engaging." So we did. 1 page. Dates. Exhibits. A reminder that fraud reports aren't harassment. They're protection. Derek's lawyer went quiet after that. Sabrina's friends stopped messaging me. Some believed her anyway. Some just didn't want to pick a side. My mom apologized for doubting me, but her voice still sounded bruised by the whole mess. Claire came over on Saturdays with grocery bags and no questions, the kind of love that doesn't need speeches. The house stayed. That's the part people think is the victory. But the real victory was smaller and harder. I stopped begging someone to care about me. I stopped thinking I could fix a person the way I fix a broken joist. If you're watching this and you're in something like I was, here's what I learned the painful way. Don't move out just to keep the peace. Save everything with dates. Freeze your credit if you smell financial games. And talk to a real attorney before you talk to your spouse's pride. This morning, I replaced the porch light that flickered the night Sabrina threatened me. The new bulb glowed steady, warm against the winter air. I sat on the steps with coffee, listening to the quiet, and for the first time the silence didn't feel like punishment. The folder Claire gave me is back in the drawer, but now I keep copies in 3 places. I don't say that to sound tough. I say it because betrayal thrives in fog, and paperwork is light.